Welcome to the WeekNGeek, your new comic preview for August 10th. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm the Chris Brown.
So what do you got?
All right, we're going to start off this week with little Morning Glories. Seems like it's been longer than a month.
It has
since
been.
last we've seen this one. So I don't remember what the last issue was, but each issue was kind of building little singular stories, building into a larger thing. I like this book. Glad to have another issue. Looking forward to reading it and seeing where we're at and getting back in the saddle with that one. Next up, we got here comes our Flashpoint. All right, we got we'll start with Citizen Cold, Flashpoint number 3. I've been liking this book. I think it's kind of fun. Again, the whole villain come good guy, extra mischief in the background. It's been fun. These are all, like we're saying last week, we're getting into some of the number 3s now. So these are all the miniseries are all wrapping up. We got Flashpoint 5 coming in a couple weeks and the relaunch.
We got some big stuff coming.
Dead Man and the Flying Graysons. This book's been really fun too.
That's a great cover. The covers on this book have been fantastic.
They've had these great like old circus poster kind of feel to them. And I just think it's great. I've really been enjoying the Dead Man and what they've been doing with this. Emperor Aquaman, I feel like this is really kind of like a tentpole in this whole Flashpoint thing. All of this Aquaman, Wonder Woman stuff has all been very, very important to what the world is. And I like that. I like the world of Flashpoint. Mm-hmm. I think it's been interesting. It's been fun, and I'm curious to see where they're going with it all leading into the relaunch. How much of it stays? What stays? What's the thing? How do we get out of this into this all-new DC universe?
I'd be curious with Age of Apocalypse. They did have that sort of continue even after things happened, and even that old Heroes Reborn continued. I wonder if
things came out of it.
Yeah, things came out of it, but then they sort of spun it off into its own universe. Yeah. Really, a lot of people seem to like what's going on in this Flashpoint universe. Maybe DC could just, somewhere down the line put out a World of Flashpoint, back to the Flashpoint universe, something. I don't know, but it seems like there's so much.
Revisit it.
Yeah, there's so much potential here. Why throw it away at this point?
Agreed.
Certainly for the relaunch they don't want to, but next year maybe.
Right. Right, and then Frankenstein, Creatures of the Unknown. I've been having fun with that book as well, and Jeff Lemire is going to end up writing that Frankenstein
book. They're Nazis
in
this, aren't they?
I believe so, yes. Yes, I do believe so.
More Nazis than in the Captain America movie.
Well, they were all Hydra soldiers, right? So, it's been pretty, I think someone had I don't know, it's not a Nazi logo, but it's been cool. I like that book. Then we got Amazing Spider-Man, 667. The cover is not as cool as 666.
No, not at all.
But it's this is the official beginning of Spider Island. We got the brief, prelude there in the 666, and now this is the people of New York are getting spider powers, and all heck is gonna break loose here. I am a lot like that movie Ratatouille, where I'm really unnerved by the fact that while it's a cute movie, but a rat is cooking food. Apparently the gimmick is the people of New York get bitten by bed bugs and get powers. Are they irradiated bed bugs? I don't know how that works exactly.
But how does a bed bug give you spider powers and not bed bug powers?
I don't know. I'm a little confused and unnerved by it.
This is Marvel science at work, I think. Yeah.
But then we got Spider Island, Deadly Foes, and it looks like there's just 2 stories of villains that are kind of fitting into. Mm-hmm. There's a Hobgoblin story written by Dan Slott and Christos Gage, and a story of the Jackal by Fred Van Lente and Oosterver, some other guys whose names I apologize that I can't properly pronounce.
I really like this reinvented Hobgoblin that they've got running around the Spider-Man books.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff.
It is pretty cool. They've beaten the Green Goblin into the ground, so I have to do something different. It's fun. This Hobgoblin's been cool. I like the Menace character. It was kind of somewhere in between there too. But then we got Spider Island, Cloak and Dagger, written by Nick Spencer, who is doing our Morning Glories. I like Cloak and Dagger. I think they're fun characters. I'm primarily reading it because of that. It seems like these poor guys only get a book, though, when there's some kind of street-level event going. Yeah. There was some brief little story they had in Shadowland, which totally sucked, but they were fun. And then now you have in Little Spider Island there.
One of these days they'll make it a movie or a TV show and they'll get their own book again.
But to be honest, I don't know that it's a bad thing. Not every character needs their own book. But I just think it's funny that they don't even appear in other stories unless it's like a street level event, and then they get a 3-issue
They're
miniseries
in
out of it.
Civil War because they needed a ride. Whenever Cloak shows up whenever they need a ride.
Except in Thunderbolts when they did that demand thing.
Yeah.
Because they probably couldn't find a practical use to make Cloak and Dagger one of the Thunderbolts, I guess. Or 2 of the Thunderbolts.
Man-Thing and Cloak, they're just cars in the Marvel Universe.
Because they can't find anything more interesting to do with them, which is just sad, really. Then we've got the New Avengers. Why isn't Cloak and Dagger, why aren't they New Avengers?
They have
Even
Quinjet.
Secret Avengers.
Avengers have Quinjets. Fantastic Four has the Fantastic Car.
They don't have to be transportation all the time. Heroes for Hire. They could be Heroes for Hire. Do something with them.
That's street level. Maybe they will.
That's what I'd like to see. Then we got New Avengers here. This book has been fun the whole way. It's a Fear Itself thing. I'm hoping it's beyond just talking heads this time. The past couple issues have just been faces telling you well, this event happened and this happened. Let's do a quick flashback. This looks like actually some story going on here. So looking forward to that. Squirrel Girl. Somebody's got to love Squirrel Girl.
Somebody.
Then Fear Itself, issue 5. I don't know. I guess some stuff started happening in the last issue. We've only got 3 more if you count this one. 5, 6, and 7.
There was a big fight at the end of the last issue.
There was a big fight, and Thor came in,
and Hulk and Thing or something.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping there's going to be some fighting in this.
Well, they're getting to it. So it looks like they're picking up where the fight starts. Fear Itself 5, Brawl.
Yeah.
Well, I'd hope so.
I haven't read it, but I'll bet the fight happens between panels.
Probably. Then here's our little Scott Snyder for you here. Little Scott Snyder and Sean Murphy, American Vampire, Survival of the Fittest. This book's been good. I like it. Here's some Nazis for you. Nazi vampires. Nazi vampires.
2 great tastes. It tastes great together.
Almost literally there. This has been kind of cool. Like the Nazis are basically trying to make everyone vampires. That's going to be their big weapon that they're going to drop on everyone. Almost kind of like what the vampires were doing in the Marvel Universe with X-Men. Yeah. They were just sitting in these suicide bombers. Kind of similar thing. They want to make everybody vampires, then the Nazis win.
That makes sense.
Wow, that was my whole stack.
Yeah, it's a light week.
It is lighter,
which is a nice break.
So what do you got there?
Well, I'm starting off with Batman and Robin number 26. This is kind of a crazy cover. This is supposed to be a bit of an absurdist issue. This is the last issue of the book before the relaunch. So I think they're killing a little time, filling little pages. This has been a pretty solid book. David Hine is writing this one. This is the first one he's written.
Okay, he was doing Detective before Snyder's run, right?
I don't know. I wasn't reading.
I think he did a few issues on that.
But this is. I mean, it is the definition of filler. But sometimes filler is just some kind of wild, fun stuff that normally doesn't fit in other places. So there's some weird, kind of absurdist art thing in here. It looks like Batman has been split in half. Anyway, if you like just some weird Batman stuff, and you're not kind of hung up on is this going to matter or not, I would give that a shot. War of the Green Lanterns Aftermath number 2. This is pretty much it. This is the swan song for the Green Lantern books. Again, I think over the next couple of weeks, this is all endings. Yes. So this is the final ramifications after the War of the Green Lanterns to sort of set the plate for the new relaunch of
Green Lantern.
Yep.
I'm curious to see how that's gonna all play out, get us into the relaunch.
So I mean, basically, this is where you're going to establish your new status quo for the Green Lantern universe.
Cool.
The end for now. It says on the last page. Next up, Criminal: Last of the Innocent. This is a great book. It's really hard to talk about Criminal while it's being published because a lot of times I don't really know what's going on. It's a crime book.
Okay.
It's a caper book. Again, this is the one that's the sort of, dark look at Archie Andrews. The name, The Last of the Innocents, kind of a play on Seduction of the Innocent. So this is basically if you love Archie and you want to see him evil, check this book out. If you hate Archie and you already think he's evil, check this book out. If you don't care about Archie, well, it's a great book with good artwork and
written by Ed Brubaker. So check this book out.
Something in there should make you check it out. Next up is Ultimate Fallout, number 5.
Is that the last one?
I think this is the last one.
No, this is to be continued.
It doesn't say to be continued.
It did.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. I
Oh,
saw
this
it
one.
be
Wow,
continued.
this one's written by.
So we got 6 coming.
This one's Hickman.
Oh, Hickman and Spencer.
I didn't even realize that. But yeah, just more what goes on in the Ultimate Universe after Spider-Man's death. We've already
We're
seen
gonna need
who
a
the new guy
graphic for
is.
Nick Spencer. A graphic for Nick Spencer.
I
Pretty
guess
soon
so.
here.
We're gonna run out of graphics. Next up is X-Men 15.1. Victor Gischler is back.
Cool.
So he's
His
the
stuff's
reason
been
I
good.
started getting this book. The point ones, like we said, have been hit and miss. Some of them
Yeah.
have been very good jumping on points and summaries. Others are just a way to ship an extra issue. I don't need a jumping on point for the X-Men. I don't think I need a refresher on the X-Men. But what the
Right.
hell, if it's pretty good and it's Victor Gischler, I'll give it a shot.
That
Hopefully
art's
there's some
pretty good, too.
some good stuff in here. It looks like, is that a Ghost Rider head on the cover?
Looks like it is.
So, Ghost Rider or some other flaming skull apparition. Well, just like you have your week in Flashpoint, I guess I have a week in Retroactive. This is we're in the 80s still. First up is
We're gonna have
DC
to do an episode
Retroactive.
of WeekNGeek like it was March.
WeekNGeek Retroactive. We're going to do that now. Hold us to it. This is Green Lantern from the 80s, Len Wein and Joe Staton. This is when I started reading the Green Lantern books.
Okay.
This was actually where it began for me prior to the Crisis. So I'm really looking forward to this. The 70s books I read most of them. I was not as thrilled with them. I think in general, I'm not as big a fan of 70s DC as I am of 80s DC. But this looks pretty good. Like I said, this is kind of a dream team. These guys wrote the book back in the 80s, and I think they're going to do a pretty good job with it now. Next up, Justice League of America. I actually was not going to get this one. I was not a fan of the Justice League at this time. Really, I didn't become a Justice League fan until the Giffen era.
Okay.
But this one features Justice League Detroit.
Oh,
So
sweet.
this is the Detroit book. This is the Justice League that everybody hated. The Justice League that put the nail in the coffin of the Silver Age Justice
It's
League.
hard for everyone else, yo.
But yeah, Justice League Detroit, check it out. And the retroactive for Superman. I really did like Superman in the 80s. Again, that's kind of when
Is that Parallax
I got my started. Yeah, I don't know how it fits into Parallax and Bane. This actually, the cover looks
Is
like
Bane
it.
on there too?
Yeah.
But it's 80s. They weren't even around in the 80s.
I know. I don't know how it fits. I guess we'll find out. This is supposedly a tale set around the Crisis, yet it's all
those
referencing OMAC even. I mean, Superboy Prime.
It's all 90s stuff. Did they jump a decade ahead?
I don't know. It's written by Marv Wolfman. You'd think he'd know all this stuff, but we'll see. It's a Superman set in the 80s that happens to look like the 90s.
It has all the 90s characters.
So when they do Superman in the 90s, maybe that's when they'll do the 80s. I don't know. But yeah, that's the retroactives. That's the last of the 80s books. Next up, the 90s books. So they will be shinier, I think.
I'm hoping for
Shiny.
holographic covers.
Foil
Polybags
skins.
and trading cards inside.
If not, DC, you're missing out. Get some bags and some foil on there.
That's what we want to see.
Yeah. Hey, the stuff sold 1 million copies back then. Next up is Unwritten, number 28. This looks like they are taking their shot at Golden Age comics.
That looks great.
So, anytime you've got that fake, old-style comic book look with the yellowed newsprint paper and the out-of-register printing, I love it. And this is a great cover.
Is there Locke on the front? Is that Vince Locke?
That is, I believe, Vince Locke. Maybe inking or something?
Maybe something, because that doesn't look like him as a whole, but
Hard to tell.
interesting.
They buried the Vince Locke finishes in the 1930 sequences.
Oh, okay.
So, which is, yeah, because didn't he do some work on, was Salmon Mystery Theater?
He might have done
He might have done some inking on that. I
Guy
don't know.
Davis did most
Guy
of the
Davis
pencils
did.
on that.
But in any event, great period piece, kind of a weird, very, very authentic looking cover, too. Next up, Incredible Hulks. One more issue.
You were ready. You were ready to be done
I was
with
ready.
it.
I thought this was the last issue today, but it's not. We got one more issue. We got Fin Fang Foom.
I
That's all
love
you
Fin
need.
Fang.
So you got the Hulk fighting big monsters for one more month.
All right.
You got me talking about this book one more month.
It's not even a full month. It's only a couple more weeks because it finishes up this month.
Yeah, I think maybe it's
there were
bi-weekly.
two issues in the month. I believe.
So there, where the finish line is in sight. Almost there.
He'll almost stop bitching.
Yes.
About the Hulk.
Yeah, until I start bitching about something else. But anyway, that's
the
majority
of your stack?
Yep.
All right, so it brings us to my top here. My top, it was also my top pick when it was issue number 1.
Mm-hmm.
This is issue number 2 of The Red Wing. Did you read this book?
Mm-mm.
It was awesome. It's a time travel story. There is this big war that's raging in the future, but it's not just in the future. They're fighting it in all portions of time, preparing to fight the big battle in the future. There are these 2 kids, kind of coming up. Their dads had died during a particular battle. Something had happened in the time stream, and the one kid is kind of, basically it looks like the kid is in this war to try and find his dad because he doesn't think he's dead in the time stream. The thing that you think this story is ultimately going to be about gets resolved at the end of the issue. You're like, no, kids, that's not what this is about. We'll give you this bone right now, and we'll bring you back for number 2. A great book, a great idea, great premise. Jonathan Hickman, as we've said before, he has these great high concepts, and this is a time travel story that doesn't make your head hurt.
Wow.
Yeah, love it.
One of these days he should try something maybe complicated, or these little slice of life autobiographical stories are cute, but I think you can do better, John.
You know what though? What I think is funny is while his stuff is so complicated, you don't read it as though it's like, all right, this guy thinks he's smarter than me. It doesn't feel that way, and generally when writers are like, all right, I'm smarter than you. No, you're not, because you're spending 32 pages telling me you're smarter than me. Hickman doesn't do that.
He actually makes you think you understand what you're reading.
Yeah.
Even though you probably don't.
You might not, and you might not understand exactly what he wants.
But when you're done, you're like, yeah, I get it.
I get it. That was awesome.
I love a writer that makes me feel smart.
Hickman does that. Hickman absolutely does that. So yeah, I'm excited about Red Wing number 2, and you should be too. What do you got there?
Well, my top is Detective Comics 881. Like we
Who's
said,
that written by?
This is by Scott Snyder. Wow.
How about that?
Our new Hickman. And our Spencer to be?
Spencer to be, he's in line next,
Don't worry about
I guess.
that. Lemire might have a shot at that too. We'll see. He's got a lot of
every week we got something by those 4 guys. So.
But this is the last issue of what I think has been the best run on Detective in ages. I'm sorry to see it go, even though he is just moving over to Batman. The style of this book, the tone of this book, the last issue was just messed up. He's got a great take on the Joker.
Okay. Yeah, that cover looked great too, and that art by Jock.
Yeah, I mean, so the artwork has been fantastic. Jock and Francesco Francavilla.
Are they going back and forth, or was Francesco on the last one?
They were kind of going back and forth, and this one they're both working on.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we got some wild stuff with Gordon's son. We got some stuff with his family in general. I mean, he's been writing the book as a Jim Gordon book as much as a Batman book, which I think is great. I think it's detective comics. It's not superhero comics. So if you like that sort of stuff, if you like that particular Batman, and I don't know if we're going to have much of that Batman in the future, this is a great ending for the longest running book in DC history. This is the one that started it all.
Is that thought Action Comics?
No, this came out. This Detective launched before Action.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Because Batman was 27.
Oh,
and that was the year after Superman. So yeah, this actually was the template. This is where DC gets its name.
Okay.
The D and the C.
So Action being at 904 is only in those 80s when they did the bi-weekly.
They did that weekly issue,
yeah.
And then they double ship and all that stuff. And numbers are all BS these days anyway. But this one isn't. This is at 881. It never changed. This really should be the longest running. It might have been quarterly for a while. I don't know. But regardless, it's a great book. It's a great farewell to the Dick Grayson Batman, who was a great Batman. I'm really going to miss him as much as I like going back to Nightwing, and we all knew it was coming. It was a great experiment. I'm sure I'll be Batman again. But as far as I'm concerned, nobody wrote the Dick Grayson Batman better than Scott Snyder, and that includes Grant Morrison.
Wow.
So that's my opinion. So that's my stack. That's everything.
I believe that then is your Week in Geek.